We have 2 speakers scheduled today. However, I only see one person who is scheduled to speak. We also have an evaluator. So that would mean, Brandon, you were the evaluator for Dia today. Heather, you are our quiz master today, I noticed. We do need a motivation master, which I will take on because I have a great quote that I can share. We need a grammarian / counter. Thank you, Ilea. Ilea is that for us today. We also need a table topics master. Anyone have any great ideas to inspire our discussion today? Anyone? I'll come back to that. Do we have a general evaluator? Someone who can just tell us how we did overall in today's meeting. Brandon, yes, ding, 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 ding. And a critical role that should be filled is the timer. We need a timer today. Would anyone like to take that? Thank you, Zan. Thank you so very much. Back to table topics. Would anyone like to take on table topics? I'll take on table topics. How about that? I will be the Toastmaster table topics, the table topics Toastmaster. That's what I will be. Now, you're going to have to bear with me because I'm going to be just winging this. So you're going to get some questions. It's going to be like a job interview. So how's that? I keep saying so today. Somebody slap me. Thank you. Moving to the next phase of our meeting, we're going to go around and have everyone explain their roles for us. Let's start.
Sorry, Eric, but we're missing one evaluator. We only have one. I'm only evaluator for 2 speeches right now.
No, we only have 1 speech.
Oh,
the previously scheduled speech.
Oh, Rhonda
is not here. If she pops in,
I should have. Yeah. Right.
Then we will evaluate her by panel. We'll all just kind of rapid fire and give her some feedback. All right, so moving along. How's everyone doing today, by the way? I wasn't cordial and greet you guys nice and friendly. I hope everybody's doing wonderful. It's Wednesday. It's hump day, which in my world, hump day means the week is about to get that much better. Now, let's first start with our grammarian, Ilea. Could you please explain for us what you will be doing for us today?
Hello, everyone. So I'm Ilea. I'm the grammarian and the and so counter. So I will try to catch and remember all the so's and any amazing grammar that is used during this time.
Thank you very much. Brandon, you are an evaluator. Please explain that for us, please.
I'm going to provide Dia with some feedback today on what was good, what was great, and what could use a little bit of work, maybe a little better understanding and some clarification to outside audiences.
Thank you, Brandon. Zan, how will you be helping us today?
I will be the timer today. The timer's job is to notify you of when you have met your minimum and when you have met your maximum speech time. In competition, you have to meet a certain time, say for a regular speech, 5 to 7 minutes. So at 5 minutes, I will give you the green light, green background, letting you know that you've met 5 minutes, you've met your minimum. When you get to 6 minutes, I will give you the yellow screen. And when you get to 7 minutes, I will give you a red screen. And that means you have about 30 seconds to go ahead and wrap it up.
Thank you very much. Heather.
Hello, everyone. I will be serving as your quiz master for today's meeting, which means at the end of the meeting, I will be asking some questions to see if during your non-dead Zoom phase, what do we call that again, Dia? What did you call it?
Resting Zoom face.
Yes, which I'm certain none of you will have a resting Zoom face today, but while you're listening, pay attention to little details. I will be your quiz master at the end of the meeting.
Thank you very much, Heather. It is very nice to see you today. My friends, have I missed anybody with a role that needs to explain something? Brandon?
Our guest.
Our guest. Oh, we have a guest. Asta, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for remembering me. Yay!
Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Tell us what brought you here today.
Dia brought me in. She roped me in and called me in, and that was it. Yep, just like that, Brandon. I met Dia and Wendi both recently at COT trainings, and they've been wonderful to work with, and I'm so glad to see Wendi here and connect with all of you guys. I am the current Southern Division Director, and just out here meeting you guys and seeing how I can be of service to anybody or who you wonderful people are.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for that. I am your Toastmaster, and I am also your Table Topics Master. And as your Table Topics Master, I am going to go off the cuff and try to find some interesting topics to spur your imaginations. Without further ado, I would like to also transition to my other role as the Motivation Master. I feel like Mr. Haney on Green Acres. Do you remember that show? Mr. Haney just sold or did everything. He was the electrician, the gas guy, and he just did everything. So that's what I'm going to do today. So for our motivation, it comes from one of my coaching classes. And this was a quote that really was inspiring to me and also comforting to me at the same time. And for anybody who is looking to achieve anything and is motivated to make better of their life in any way, this was really comforting when I heard this. And the quote is this: anything is achievable when broken down into bite-sized chunks. That is from Kane Ramsey. And that really puts me at ease and makes me feel like I can achieve and accomplish anything that my heart desires if I have the persistence, the patience, and the wherewithal just to go for it and keep at it. So keep that in mind today. We have another guest. Avanti,
Hi there.
how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How about you?
Good. Welcome to our meeting today. And could you just share us how you found us and what brought you here today?
I loved Dia's presentation at the last training session, and I totally wanted to come out and check out the rest of the vibe.
That is great. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and I hope you have a wonderful time today.
She roped two of us, lassoed two at the same time. Look at those skills.
Wow, we're going to have to get, you must be something to do with membership. Perfect goal. Well, let's move right along. Let's move into some speeches today. And I'm going to turn it over to Brandon, who will introduce our speaker. Brandon, take it away.
Perfect, thank you. Your voice dropped out for me there again at the end. But here we are today going to learn from Dia about her leadership style. We'll see if it jives with our leadership style or if we even think it's a good leadership style. Who knows? Or maybe we'll be super enlightened and everything will be blissful going forward. So please, Dia, enlighten us. Take it away.
Thank you, Brandon. I stand here today talking about leadership style as a admitted reluctant leader. I am not pursuing any leadership role, but yet I find myself leading. Such is life. So I embrace the role, I fulfill it to the best of my ability, and now for this speech, I'm going to try and define my leadership role. Now, last week, for those of you that were here, I gave a speech, which is the speech I gave to the club officer training the following day. That speech was about being club president. And you guys gave me really great feedback for that speech, which was indicative of my leadership style. When I gave said speech to the officer training, I changed a few things. I incorporated feedback, but I also turned it into a drinking game. Every time I said, show up, you drank. Good or bad, it's just what I decided to do. I decided to lead with humor. I decided to lead with entertainment and not give yet another presentation with screen share on the slides. If there's one thing I particularly don't approve of in a leadership style speech, it's removing yourself from the action. It's taking your little rectangle and putting it up to a smaller rectangle in the corner and focusing completely on text and pictures, which have nothing to do with how you should be leading. So I made everybody drink. I had a kombucha. There was a lot of burping involved, but it was effective. And I think inspired my audience. Well, we have two guests here today, and I would like to call on our guests very quickly. If Asta, you could first give me just a brief recollection or opinion of what you thought of my speech for presidential leadership.
I loved it. I think we need more drinking games, and that's what brought me here. Sometimes Toastmasters is a little too stuffy and uptight, and you brought it down to the real. Yeah, why do we need the PowerPoint presentations and all that? We just need to feel what we need to do. Great job.
Thank you, Asta. Avanti, could you give us some of your feedback on that said speech?
I love the playfulness and the sass of the speech. Your personality just sparkled right through. I just love the performance. And I mean, the information was wonderful too, but it was the style of it that really got me. Like, I love that you weren't afraid to express your style. You didn't get hung up on making everything perfectly accurate or trying to like hold yourself in a really certain way. Like, you just went for it, and that's awesome.
Thank you so much. What great effective feedback. I love it. Authenticity. I show up as me. I lead by example, and I try to encourage people to go big. That's my leadership style. Is that a leadership style? I don't think that's a leadership style, because according to Toastmasters, my leadership style is coaching with slight innovation. So I'm an innovative coach. Is that my leadership style? Do I have to define my leadership style? Why are you making me define my leadership style? Why can't we just take who we are, who we show up as, and show that as our leadership style? If it's effective, booyah. If it's not, work to improve. My leadership style, show up. Show up or go home, I show up. Attributes of a successful leader, according to Toastmasters. Effective communicator. Yes, I effectively communicated how to be club president. What's my first and only lesson? Well, it's not my first. What's my first lesson? Show up. But what's the most important lesson? Asta, Avanti, what's the takeaway from that speech? Do you remember? Find your replacement on day one. That was my big takeaway. So I effectively communicated. Leads by example. A leader is not afraid to get up and do, and it's not being perfect, and it's not having the right answers. It's getting up and doing and encouraging those around you to do the same. Optimistic. Yes, generally, I am optimistic, but I am not afraid to share my pessimism too. But that's okay, because a leader shouldn't be perfect, right? A leader should show fault. A leader should show frustration. And that's, I think, humanizing to anybody in a leadership position. Open-minded. I swear to God, if there's anything that I am, it is open-minded. Check. Demonstrates integrity. I don't know about that. What do you mean by integrity, right? Am I going to give back the $1 I found on the ground? Nope, not going to do that. Am I going to lead my group with integrity? Probably. Okay, I'll embrace integrity. And motivation. Gosh dang it, motivation. Here's what I did. Here's what I did to motivate my club officers for officer training. I said to any member, if you show up for club officer training, you're going to get a prize. We had 5 people show up. We have 5 prizes. If you feel jealous of these prizes and wish you had some for your own, fear not, my friends, because we have another officer training coming in February. You want a prize? You show up. Motivation. I'm going to lead by motivation. It could be a bribe. I don't care. Call it whatever you want. Leadership style by Dia. It's effective. It's reluctant, but effective. You tell me, really, right? Because in the end, isn't that how we measure ourselves? It's by the effect we have. It's not what we say. It's by the effect that we have from our words. Thank you so much for enjoying yet again another speech by Dia. Mr. Toastmaster.
Hooray. That was great. Can everyone hear me? Okay, great.
Barely.
Am I still having problems? Okay, good. Maybe I need to just lean in. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, so if I'm leaning in looking like I'm about to jump into your screens, it's because I want you to hear me. I want you to hear me. Leah, can you hear me now? Okay, great. Now, I just received a wonderful surprise. A wonderful surprise. You guys are going to love this, unless you don't. We are going to have a second speaker today. Now, before I introduce the speaker, I need to have an evaluator for the speaker. Can anyone volunteer to evaluate the speaker today? Heather, thank you so very much. Heather, so now we're right on track. The train is moving down the track. Our surprise speaker, our surprise impromptu speaker is Wendi. Wendi is going to step up. Wendi is always informative. She's always inspirational. I can't wait to hear what she says next. But first, I'm going to introduce Heather, who will introduce our speaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you a woman who's about to take an adventure and move her whole life to Hawaii. In true form, in true hang loose form, I'm going to introduce to you our second speaker, Wendi.
Last week, I was drafted to be giving a speech about the same topic that I mentioned. When I first moved to Boulder, I lived in a beautiful condo on Pearl Street, and my bedroom was on the 3rd story, and I had a view from my bed of the Flatirons all the way around. It was dark, and I was in bed, and these lights came from the Flatirons very slowly. And I'm watching them from quite a ways away, getting closer. There's lights that are shining down that are very big. I went out to my rooftop deck to watch this thing. It was silent, and it was flying low and moving slowly, slower than any aircraft could move. When it got over me, luckily I had run back in and grabbed my phone so I could take a picture. The lights were so bright shining down that the picture didn't come out because it was just washed out in light. But I watched this thing silently move over me with 6 big round lights. And then it was gone. There are reports of this particular type of UFO all over the world. This is not a mysterious UFO. It's a very common one. I've seen UFOs before. I've watched them moving in the light or in the darkness at night, just dots that move across and up and down. And in Newport Beach in California, where I lived, there was a very high amount of UFOs. And the reason that I tell you this is because the experience I had is so hard to grasp. The details are so clear, even though it happened about 20 years ago. They are crystal clear. I was lying in bed sleeping, and it was dark out. And then I was awoken because there were some lights kind of flickering outside in different areas around the house. As I was lying there, I suddenly realized that I couldn't move my body from head to toe. Nothing could move. I could move my eyes, and I looked at my bedside clock, and I saw exactly what time it was. Then I heard noises in the living room. There weren't any doors opened or windows open. There was nothing forcible that happened. But I heard noises. I had 2 dogs, and neither of those dogs made a sound. And then there were 2 men standing at the foot of my bed. These were in human form, something that looks like a very average sort of man. I still couldn't move, and I was scared, and I was completely alert and completely awake. There is a difference when you're in a dreamy state and you're kind of half in and half out of it. People who have an incidence with sleep paralysis say the same things about their experience, that you are fully aware and awake, and it's memorable, and the details are all there. What's most interesting about this is if you find other people who have sleep paralysis where there's some people that come into their bedroom, there are 2 men standing at the foot of their bed. This is very, very common. If we are hallucinating this, then why would we all hallucinate the same thing? It's not women, it's not creatures that look like aliens, but I knew that these were not humans. They were in human form. I did not previously study aliens. I didn't study UFOs. I wasn't into that. I didn't have any friends who believed in them. There was no reason for my mind to make this up. They stood there, and I looked at the clock again. I could see that 5 or 6 minutes had passed, and I think I remember my Sheltie, who was a terrorist. He came into the room, and he did not terrorize these creatures. He noticed them. I could see by moving my eyes over there that he was noticing, but doing nothing. The next part that's very strange that probably you don't want to talk about with other people at the dinner table is that one of them had sex with me. Now, this wasn't something that lasted very long, and it wasn't really much of a human way that we would do it. It was done efficiently. This makes my heart pound still after 20 years. It's like I'm still there. Then they left, and I don't know how they left. Some people who've had sleep paralysis situations have said that there are lights outside, but they levitate, and that they are aware of the aliens in human form, but that they seem to levitate. There are many stories, but they still center around the same theme. that there's two human-looking men that they know in their heart are aliens. Our Air Force pilots are seeing UFOs like crazy. They have their voices on record and their comments about what they're seeing and how unbelievable and how impossible it is. In Santa Fe, I was visiting someone with one of those houses way high on the hills there. And he said, oh, we see them all the time. There's UFOs all around us. And here it seems to be extra concentrated. The most distinct thing about this experience was the detail that was not mixed with a dream state and wouldn't have been there if I was hallucinating. And other people who have had this happen in my research, they know they're not hallucinating. And to think that 20 years later, I still feel the connection to it, the physical thing is happening, my heart is pounding. The same questions come up in my mind. How on earth could this be? And why would all these people have this experience? Well, there are a lot of people who believe that aliens are among us in human form. And maybe there's a little program to crossbreed so that, but anyway, that's not something to go into. But how do we know? There's so many things that are unknown. And with the Air Force pilots seeing all these UFOs now and tracking them and knowing that there are so many possibilities, I leave you with a mystery that has plagued me all of my life.
Woo!
That was the rest of the story.
Wow. Well, actually, Wendi, thank you so much. And I have to apologize. I forgot I had volunteered you to finish that story last week and that you actually did it. Thank you so much for bringing that up and sharing that wonderful story with us. However, you said that's the rest of the story, but it's not, because I heard something about some efficient sex that I think we all need to know about.
Was it good for you too, was my question.
With that said, I'll leave it to you when you want to volunteer to share the rest of the story.
Well, it wasn't sex like we have as humans. It was something that happened with minimal contact, and it wasn't like something pleasurable, or it was just something very quick.
Sounds like sex.
Yeah. I don't know.
Just kidding.
Yeah. But yeah, there's not a lot more to the sex part of it. It was very efficient alien sex, apparently. But I don't know,
Okay.
or I'm just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So.
Okay, sounds like a great song title. We're going to work on that one.
They didn't implant any chips in you? I believe that's kind of the 5G thing too, right? It's like they implant a chip in you, and now that 5G comes out, you're going to become, I don't know, some robot.
You're going to receive all the signals and be superhuman. Yay.
Yes. Well, thank you. Now let's move along. Who's ready for table topics? Raise your hand if you're ready for table topics. That means everybody who raised your hand, you just volunteered to take on a table topic. Ah, Aliyah, I see that. Perfect. Who wants to be first? Ah, Aliyah, I saw it. You're on. Here's your question. You get to invite 3 people to a dinner party at your house, alive or dead, in history or in your present life that you know. Who are these 3 people and why? You've got 2 minutes.
So that's an interesting one. I am a woman of faith, and being a woman of faith, I have questions to God. And considering you said anyone here, I mean, Jesus was a physical being. So I think that would be definitely one that I would like to have at my dinner table. Since he had the Last Supper, I would like to have a supper prepared for him. With that, I think I would add my Aunt Joanne. My Aunt Joanne passed away a few years ago, and she was very dear to myself and my family. She was pretty much the matriarch as well. And I want to see how she is doing. I know she's in heaven, but I just want to get that discussion with her. When she passed, it was pretty rough on the family. We were all in the room when she passed. So just to hear that we witnessed something that was needed, but we know that she has moved on to heaven would be great. Thirdly, I would say one of our past presidents, to see where he feels we are now in our states, in our current situation. Let's do Abraham Lincoln on that one. I think considering with Abraham and what he did with being so empowering and freeing the slaves and everything on that mind, I think currently with what's happening in our states with everything going, I kind of feel we're going backward in a way, and there's so much happening. So I think with those three people, I can definitely get a really good mindset on where I would like to ask questions with. Now, of course, with Jesus, first I would like to thank him. I mean, being a woman of faith and someone who is completely thankful beyond words, I would just being in the same room. I mean, how can I say no to that? I mean, honestly, that would be the main one anyway. So I think just having them around the table would be so comforting. I would get so much information about where I feel sometimes I can help people right now. I am a woman who loves to be very positive and helpful. And I think with those people, they would help give the direction that I can help others. So that's pretty much where I'd be. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much. And I would love to just look in the window and be able to hear, because that sounds like a great dinner party. Thank you very much for sharing that. All right, who's next? Whose hand?
Avanti has a virtual hand raised. Can you see that?
Who does?
Avanti.
Oh, I didn't see that. Avanti, that is a virtual hand. Great. Okay, Avanti.
Yeah.
Here's your question.
Quick question before we start. What is my time limit?
2 minutes.
Okay, cool. Just making sure it's the same. Sorry, go on.
Okay. You are on the game show, the $3 billion question. You get one lifeline. You get to call anyone to answer the question that you don't know. Who do you call?
Who would I call? If I could call anybody, if there was no limit on who I could call, I would call my future self who possibly answered the question wrong, but then Googled the answer to that question, and then I would just simply have the answer. So this invites time travel paradox into all of this. It's one of those things where I've wondered sometimes if it would have been really good to get advice from my future self. It seems like it would have been worth it, but would I have really learned the lesson the same way? And honestly, would I have even listened to myself? I don't know. So there are times I wish I could call my future self or call my past self, tell my past self to do something differently or listen to what my future self has to say. But the other catch about it, my future self might not know everything yet. It just knows up till that point. There's something maybe 10 years later from that future self, I would have realized, hey, actually that wasn't a mistake at all. That was divine timing. Good on you for doing that. So in terms of calling for a lifeline, that would be the person I would call. But I'm not sure if it's a good idea. Back to you, Eric.
That is wonderful. That is great. That is so good. That's so good. I have to change up the next question a little bit, just to go in line with this whole sci-fi thing we have waded into with that last answer. That is great. I love it. Okay, who's next? I think we got time for probably one more. Brandon, great. I'm glad. So this is not the question change. Brandon, I had a question just in case you rose your hand.
I'm glad
Brandon,
I'm special like that. Okay.
the gods come down and they descend upon your front porch and they say, Brandon, you are a ninja. You are a workout god. However, if you do more than one specific exercise at any time for the rest of your life, you're going to die. So you can only do one exercise. What is that one exercise that you're going to do for the rest of your life?
One exercise. So now, if one was to choose one exercise, because the gods say you'll die, does that limit you in your everyday life? Can I not walk if I chose to do pull-ups? Could I not climb a mountain if I chose to do swimming? So if limitations are put upon me in my normal life, we're not just saying outside activities or working out or preparing for a ninja course. Well, I couldn't actually do ninja courses then, could I? Because those always have more than one element. You got your striding, your running, your swinging, your whatever. What would I choose? Well, I enjoy walking my dog. I enjoy walking with my wife and going on hikes. So I guess that would be the one thing I would have to stick with, because it'd be kind of annoying to only be able to do pull-ups all day. Hey, honey, you want to go on a walk? Yeah, sure. Let me do it in my contraption, a pull-up bar scooter. Or maybe that would work, and that would be a kind of a loophole in the rules of the gods. But God, I'd hate that. Piss off the gods. They can just come down and land on my front porch. Who knows what else they can do? Just come down and fry my brain or paralyze me in bed and have sex with me. Who knows what the gods would do in this world if I did anything except pull-ups? So I'm going to stick with walking. And hopefully that would include running as well. I'm not sure if speed is a factor of it. Now I'm just overthinking the crap out of it like I normally do. So walking. If I had to choose a path, God, I would like to keep walking. Thank you.
That's just wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We're going to do one more. Do we have one more? Okay, Rebecca, great. Okay, here we go.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for being the most awesome table topic / Toastmaster today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, you said that before I got to your question. So
yeah. Before I get angry, I got that in.
Okay, here we are. You are living in the time right before the great flood and when Noah had to build his ark. And, you know, God's really active with me today. So God comes down and he says to you, everybody's going to get wiped out except for Noah, his people, and the animals. Now, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to turn you into whatever animal you want to be, but you got to be that for the rest of your time. What animal are you?
Okay, this is a great question. I mean, I really like marmots. They're so cute. If you go hiking above tree line, you always run into them. So I think maybe I'd go with marmots. You know, what do they say about them? They look out for each other all the time. They make a cozy nest to sleep in. Yeah, I think I just want to be a happy marmot and be in my little community of other marmots up above the tree line, kind of on top of it all. That's all I can say about that.
All right. Thank you very much. That is wonderful. Thank you all for participating. That was fun. I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you for letting me take that on today. And now we need to move along, and it's time for our evaluations. Brandon, we're going to start with you and your evaluation of Dia's speech.
Dia always comes out with great hand gestures and little small screens. Amazing how much she can fit in this little box. Love it. Energy is there, just like you explained in showing up and being authentic in a beer drinking game, right? Really just getting people involved, just like you did in your speech here. You got 2 audience members that gave perfect little quick snippets that just really, I think you might have talked to him beforehand. I'm not confident that that wasn't last minute there because it was too perfect. And then you think, okay, what was wrong? And then you can't think anything, right? That's the normal way of doing it. But then that got me thinking, how many times did you talk about things that don't work? I know you talked about things that really work, but why do they work? What's your proof? Where does that come from? What have you seen that has put people to sleep? I mean, you talked about PowerPoints, but you might be able to reach a higher level if you show them the lower level. You know, if you tell them, well, yeah, do you remember ever going to a PowerPoint presentation with a monotone speaker? Well, I hate those things, so let's grab a cup and let's have a drinking game. You know, it might be able to help that roller coaster of awesomeness come out a little better by showing what those lows are. And then at the end, you kind of did it, but I was looking for a better concise summary, kind of bring it all together for me real quick. Just you said a lot of cool things there. Wait, what did you say again? Oh, it's kind of this and it was kind of that, but a little more conclusive summary would have been a little bit better for my brain to grasp onto. But I think you did it here, the impacts of your style. Like what, and I think you said that in that we have 2 guests with us today, right? That was one of the impacts of your style. Maybe highlighting another impact or what you got out of people's reactions on the screen, or, you know, just any feedback that you physically saw from why you think your style works so well would be great evidence to just prove your style being as awesome as we can all see clearly that it is. Thank you. That was awesome. I love it.
Thank you, Brandon. And for our next evaluation, we're going to turn to Heather to evaluate Wendy's speech.
Thank you. Thank you, Eric. Wendi, always delightful to hear you speak. You do so many things so well. Your energy is always there. You have a wonderful variety of looking right in, or maybe looking up to the UFO. You keep your hands in the camera frame when you're talking. I can see those instead of up here. Your body language is just so good. You were an actor and an entertainer. When you were saying I was frozen and all I could move was my eyes, I could really, it was beautiful. I could see, I could feel the emotion, like, oh my God, I'm frozen and all I can move is my eyes. I could see the clock over there. That was beautiful. You also do an incredible job of phrasing and pausing just at the perfect time when you're telling a story. You're such a good storyteller. I love that. Your passion comes in when you accent and you have inflections in your voice. You have such a good vocal variety. I just love listening to you. I think I missed the meeting last week. I don't think I was here. So I had no idea what you were talking about. So I think this was an extemporaneous, right? You jumped in, you were willing to do that. And so perhaps one area of improvement that I noticed was maybe to catch us in the fold. For those of you who weren't there last week, I mean, I caught that. You were telling something, but in your introduction, from what you ended up wrapping up, aliens are among us, maybe that could, if you had one key line in your mind, start with that. Start with, did you know that aliens are among us? And from those of you who missed last week, I told a story of this. Maybe that could kind of bring me into the fold since I didn't know. Let's see. The summary, I was so engrossed in your story, I wasn't quite sure where you were going with the story. So did you want us to know that there were aliens among us? I got that right at the very end. So maybe premeditating that where you want to be. And that's the hardest part, right, of extemporaneous. That's really challenging. But overall, I loved it. And if this was our first recorded meeting, we said sex a whole lot today. Thank you, Wendi.
And there, Heather, you said it one more time. How about that? Now, how many of you took a nap during today's meeting and just kind of checked out? Who was paying attention? Well, now we're going to find out who was paying attention, and we're going to go right back to Heather with our quiz. Who's our quiz master today?
Thank you, Eric. Now we know what the word of the day was. So I had a lot of fun considering how I was going to challenge you. So I tried to just go a little bit deeper with my quizzes, with my questions today. So everyone lean into the camera slightly.
And turn your mutes up. Turn your mutes off.
Yeah. And everyone good? Turn your mute off. Okay. All right. Here we go. I'm going to ask some questions and see if you were paying attention. How many big round lights were there on the UFO?
6.
4.
Very nice. There were 6 round lights. Beautiful. What was Dia's drink of choice when she gave her speech?
Kombucha.
Kombucha.
Very nice.
Makes lots of burps though.
What was Ilea's aunt's name that she'd love to have dinner with?
Joanne.
Joanne.
Beautiful. What were the words that Dia would say every time they were supposed to drink?
Show up.
Nicely done. Beautiful. Rebecca wanted to be a happy marmot. She thought to be surrounded by people who would look out for each other, had cozy spots to sleep, be above the tree line and on top of it, and she could be in
Coziness.
it starts with a C.
Comfort.
Quiet.
C-O-M.
Common.
Compassion?
Common.
You're so close.
Communicate.
Community.
Rebecca, tell
Community.
Communication.
Community.
Community. To be in community. Beautiful. How many men were at the foot of Wendy's bed?
Good.
2.
Good. Who really deserves the nickname Lasso today?
Brendan.
Dia.
Dia.
Yeah.
And what kind of dog was standing looking at Wendi as she was in bed?
Her dog.
Her dog. What kind of dog?
An ankle biter.
Corgi.
No.
Not a corgi.
It starts with an S.
Sheltie.
Chelsea.
Salty.
And what was the one activity that what's the one exercise he could do? He wanted to
Walk.
walking. And Avanti, she called on a person that she said maybe it wasn't a good idea to call on this person.
Herself.
Future self.
Herself.
Oh.
I think that's all I.
2.0.
Ooh, I have a really good one to wrap up. What month is the next officer training?
February.
February.
Nice.
Yay!
All right, I bow out. Thank you, Eric.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's go on to another report. How about our timer report, Zan?
Absolutely. Everyone did very well. We had 1 went over and 1 went under. Possibly the over could have been my fault. I got wrapped up in Ilea's trying to figure out who I would have to the table. And And so I was listening to what you were saying, but I was thinking like, yeah, Jesus, and then I definitely my mom, because I miss her, and then I think Trump, because I really wanted Trump and Jesus to have a discussion. I think Jesus got some things to say to that boy. And I wanted to give him that opportunity. But anyway, so I'd completely lost track of the timing, and I didn't even put up the screen until it was past the red screen time. So you went a little over, but that was my fault. Miss Becky, you went a little under. No big deal, but everybody else was right in their target range.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sam. Let's get the grammarian counter report from Ilea.
Hello. So as far as grammar, there was a few that stuck out for me. Indicative was great. Authenticity, I love that. I love the word and what it represents. And then there was quite a few uses of sex. And I think that was just interesting that, here we are, adults were able to use that. And I was like, hey, I'm going to put that out there and just be like, it's okay. I think that was great. As far as so's and such, I remembered myself at least having one So I don't know if you guys can recall any more, but at least I have one that I remember. I believe Avanti had some hms, a little and a so. Rebecca had 2 ums. Heather had 2 ums, and that's pretty much what I got. So everyone did really well today.
Perfect. Great job, Toastmasters. You are doing great. We've got one more report from the general evaluator. Brandon, how do we do?
I love the energy we have here today. This is great. I was feeling a little bit down, staring at the screen, making ones and zeros happen, trying to figure out how to talk Bluetooth. And then I got to come here and kind of bring me up out of my spirits a little bit. So thank you for that. Motivation Master, you're always a master of that. Bringing us up, getting us motivated, getting us going, and flawlessly rolling through the roles when no one wants to fill the roles. I'll do it. 2 roles, that's great, man. You made it happen today. I appreciate you doing that and doing it so effortlessly, getting a lot better and more smooth with it as things go on. I appreciate that. Let's see here. Yes, including the guest right at the beginning, really great. Filling the roles, last minute changes to add a speaker, no problem. Eric's got it. Slide it right in, fill the role, get the eval, done. Nailed it. Before we even knew it was happening, it was already dialed in. Love that. And then I'd like here in the last one, we might run 1 or 2 minutes late, and that was just because of the cutoff time at the end of your table topics. It should be at 43, but little details, it would be the only thing that we might run a couple minutes late because we like to talk in our reviews, our evals. So thank you much, Eric. I appreciate it. That was awesome.
Thank you so much. We are running. We've got 1 minute. Avanti, please share with us your input on our meeting today.
Your meeting is a lot of fun. I would love to come back and just hang out and watch more if that's okay with all of you. You have a great
That's
thing
wonderful.
going on here.
We'd love to have you. Please come on back. Everybody,
Thank you so much,
welcome Avanti back.
Woo!
Woo! Come,
Thanks,
Avanti,
everyone.
come back, hang out.
Thank you.
All right,
Yes,
and so
please.
and I'm going to transition. Our meeting is coming to a close. We
Wait,
have
Asta. Is Asta still here?
She had to leave. She
Asta's not here.
yeah,
Just
she had-
something showed up.
Didn't want to forget her. Okay.
So guess what, everybody? We get to have another Toastmasters meeting next week. We're giving a respite. We get 1 more week, and we need roles. Or wait, here, time out. Here's what the deal is. I'm going to be speaker 1. I'm going to be speaker 2. I'm going to evaluate my speeches, and I'm going to administer table topics. Now, any other roles that anybody wants, you better gobble them up, because by Saturday night, I'm going to take on a couple more of them.
Okay, yeah, you got to time yourself.
So
at least.
now, yes, that's right. I'm going to time my dang self.
That's right.
So There. But seriously, would anyone like to volunteer for a speech or any other role right now so we can not have me be the role? I don't really want to be the role hog. I want to give everybody a shot here. So you're welcome to volunteer for any role that you would like. Anyone like to give a speech next week?
Aaliyah.
What do you want, Leah?
No, I'll do the motivation speech or the little motivation phrase.
Motivation master.
Aaliyah, I'm going to motivate you right now before next week. You should join. Motivation.
There we go. Perfect. Do we have a table topic master or a speaker or any timer or anybody next week?
I'll do tabletop. Oh, unless Heather was doing it. What do you want?
No,
Heather?
I'd like to try the Toastmaster next week. I'm ready.
That is great, Heather. Great.
Perfect.
So how long is the motivation? How long should that be? Does it matter?
Is it,
2 minutes.
is it times? Okay.
Okay. Any other roles?
I'll tell you what, I'll have an intention to sign up for something by Tuesday night.
Okay, great. Perfect. There
I'll
you go.
match that. I will match that intention. That's good.
Okay, good. Good. Get your roles, get your roles, get your roles, get your roles.
Okay.
Would anyone else like to say anything wonderful to lead us on? Brandon.
One last thing, I'd love to challenge everybody to step into their pathways and at least look at what's the next thing the pathways would like us to do. I haven't looked at it in a couple of weeks, and so I'm going to use this as self-motivation also to click the buttons to look, all right, I've got goals here and speeches. What is that next one I should be doing? So I challenge you all to do the same.
That's very, very good. Thank you very much for that, Brandon.
Heather?
Hey,
Everyone,
Brandon,
I just have
that's
to say
go ahead.
this one thing. Dia, if there was anything you needed to show your leadership style, watching Eric and Brandon, specifically Eric, inject humor and entertainment. Eric, you were like stepping it up, man. The first time I met you, I think you were looked like this and you're very serious the whole time. And I am just like, dude, I'm falling in love with you. You're making my Wednesdays wonderful. And Dia, you did it. You raised the bar and these guys are just jumping right in and it's so exciting. So
Look at my
thank you.
tears.
Seriously, you made this happen. So it's great.
This is
Yeah.
great.
And Becky,
Okay,
you have
we
something,
get to do it again next week, everybody. Come on
Okay.
back.
Hey,
Same
Rebecca,
time,
you have something
same
else to
place.
say before we cut out?
Ooh.
Oh, I was just going to say that, Brandon, your little motivation was like what King Ramsay would do, break it down into bite-sized chunks.
Ah,
Yeah.
nice.
Round it out nicely.
Nice
Oh,
reference.
yeah.
Funny, that's true. Huh?
And I am staying on to talk to Brandon and Aaliyah if anybody needs to go. But jet out, my friends, like Eric.
And then Miss Becky, would it be okay if we put this one on YouTube? If it were not.
Yeah, fine. I don't feel like I was too foolish.
You were great.
Your marmot speech, Becky,
little
was
marmots.
so
You
beautiful.
cute little marmots.
You never have to worry. Absolutely never have to worry about editing it because you've been foolish. But I didn't know if you wanted to edit because of your job. Like if there's something
Oh, no.
you can't be public about with that. So okay.
I have confidentiality issues with my job. So yeah, you need to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you're such a
That
private
why you've never
person
told us about
anyway.
it?
I know, I'm so private. I'm so private.
Yeah, you really keep things to yourself and
No.
don't express. You never tell any of your life's most embarrassing fucking moments. They just never come
Remember
out.
this one? Anybody
Yeah.
remember that one?
Oh, God. Oh, no. No. I just got that out of my head.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Those of you who don't know what she's referring to, be real thankful right now.
It has to do with the word of the day. But anywho,
What is the word of the day?
sex.
Sex.
No. It should be efficient sex.
Oh,
Efficient.
alien sex.
Efficient sex. There you go.
I'm
That
not
really
gonna go
does
any
beg
further with-
more
I was
explanation.
going to go a little further with that, but I'm not going any. I know I'm backing away. I'm backing away.